I noticed you're looking out the window here at the Out of Control Room. Ozzy Osbourne.
It's a great view, isn't it?
It's a great view. It's a beautiful view. And I don't know. It's a great song. That's probably going to always be my favorite Ozzy song right there.
It's amazing we never really played that on the set at all. I don't know why, but we just never got round to it. But a lot of people say, oh, what a great song! You should have played that. You should play that live and all this. Maybe I will in the future. I don't know.
Yeah. I could see immediately after the accident why you wouldn't. It'd be just a little too close to that one.
Sure,
Yeah. Now it brings us up to the present, of course. This Ozzy Osbourne.
I have some kind of sad news, I'm afraid, for a few of you guys out there who dig around Jake and myself. Jake and I are no longer together. Jake's decided to do his own thing. I think he's going to get his own band, which I wish him all the luck in the world. We're not at war with each other, so there's no bad feelings. It's just one of the things that guys come through the band and they get this experience. And I always say to them when they join, if you feel that you want to do it on your own, please don't hesitate and let me know so I can lease up time to get another guitar player. So if there's any guy out there thinking he's hot enough and he can cut the gig, send the tape into Redbeard. Redbeard knows where to send it to me. He can track me down with it. So, it may be your chance if you're listening. Come along, join the camp, go crazy with me,
It's been a wonderful...
it's like the Ozzy Osbourne School of Rock and Roll.
It really has been. You have been the Ted Mack Amateur Hour of Rock and Roll, where people have unknowns.
I always want to, people say, why do you always go for the unknowns? I think, I got this funny theory that if you want to be better than somebody, it's great, but then beat, and I always like to get somebody that's so unknown, that rather than go and get a name guitar player.
Don't you think it's because they're hungry?
Yeah, they're hungry. It's like when I was a kid, there was a soccer player that we all wanted to be as good as. It's so good for a young kid to come up and be better than that person, And it's great to see these kids who haven't got a clue develop into some person. Like Jake, when Jake joined me, he was just an innocent guy. Now he's a leader on his own. He doesn't need me anymore, and it's time for a change,
I think it's excellent. I mean, I wish more people would have that philosophy because that's the only way that we're going to keep people coming in.
The thing is, I like to think that through my career, I've sort of given birth to so many new bands indirectly. Like Night Ranger, Brad played with me for a year. He went out back to Night Ranger. They had big success and whatever, I'm not saying I'm going to get Brad Gillis back, but that's the kind of thing. Jake will now, no doubt, get his own thing and have the success and whatever. And when a guitar player or whoever it may be wants to go, it's no use trying to keep them. And people say to me, some guy just phoned, please don't ever separate from Jake. The thing is, it happens, and it's healthy that it happens. I mean,
it's called growth.
It's growth, man. That's exactly what it is, growth. And I would never like to. I mean, I was with Black Sabbath for 11 years, and I didn't really want to be there. And I was scared to move because I thought that if I moved, then everything would fail. And I learned the biggest lesson in my life, that life is so short that if you want to go for something, go with all your heart. Just don't ever think, well, maybe. But if I leave and fail, then people are going to forget me. You'll never know if you're going to fail if you sit there where you are, where you are now, and and indirectly you're failing there anyway because you're not making any moves.
Yeah, you're stagnant.
Sure.
You're stagnant. You've got to grow because if you don't, you're really, like you said, you're really in a slow way dying. The Ozzy Osbourne Randy Rhoads Tribute is out in the record stores now.
Yeah, it's a great package. I mean.
Why did you do it?
Well, Mrs. Rhoads and not myself and the record company have been inundated with millions of letters saying, it's only fair. A lot of us never got to see Randy play, Have you got anything else of Randy? And I had no intentions of putting it out. And then Mrs. Rhoads phoned up and she says, do you think it's any good? I said, well, I haven't heard it, If it's okay, then I'll put it out. If it's not, then I think it's bad to put something out which is misrepresentation of Randy. So I heard it. And I was bowled over with it. And I said to Max, Max, just go and mix it. I don't want it to sound like it's been doctored. Just mix it as it is, I want it to sound like a gig instead of... Like, there's so many phonies that go and make a live album in a studio and stick a crowd in it. And that's really not the case with this at all. In fact, it's not all one show either. It's different shows all over the place that we played, all over Canada and England and... all over. What I've considered the best stuff that I had, and believe you me, this is the end of it. Some people think that I have a secret Randy Rhoads tape from the studio stuffed in my attic, and I have loads of different things. This is the absolute end of what I have. Whether other people have something of him, I don't know, but this is all I have.
So this album is now available in the studio, or excuse me, in the stores, and this was one that came from the streets. I mean, this wasn't wasn't your idea. There was a demand for this before the record existed.
Yeah, just the amount, and when we did the packaging, I said that I didn't want it to be morbid. I wanted there's a lot of interesting information on Randy and myself, and the early days, even before I was with Randy. Like, there's photographs that his mother got to put on the album cover. So it's a very colourful album sleeve with things of when he was a kid, when he was growing up, what he liked and what his hobbies were, and as he grew through his life. And the guy was 25 when he died. It was a tragic day in my life. It's not a day goes by when I don't think about him. Every year we send flowers to on the anniversary, and it's just, you know, to me, he still lives on through this album. It's a really personal album to me. It's something that I will always treasure for the rest of my life, and it really is a collector's item.
No doubt about it. We're talking with Ozzy Osbourne, and we're listening to the tribute of Ozzy and Randy Rhoads on Q102, Texas Best Rock and Roll.
Okay, you can't kill rock and roll. All right, we're gonna do Paradise.
Oh yeah, boy, was he ripping up the guitar on that. Randy Rhoads really wailing on Paranoid, right?
Yeah, I mean, those days. I mean, every time I hear the record, and then to be honest with you, I haven't heard the record all the way through. I can't, because it just breaks me in half, you know.
But I noticed it. I can't keep you away from the volume control.
I know. I'm cranking. I'll get the cranking. Turn it up. I love it loud. Because at home with the kids, I can't ever have the bloody radio up higher than volume 1 because it wakes the kids up. And so when I get out to a radio station, it's like my domain, you know. I want to buy a soundproof room and have it in a field somewhere where nobody can knock the door and say, turn that damn thing down, you know.
Ozzy, people are still, even, you know, when you're a kid, you think, God, when I get to be an adult, nobody's going to tell me to turn it down. But now you've got kids, and
I know they come
your
down.
wife says, turn it down.
No,
for
the kids come down and say, "Dad, did you turn that thing down? I can't get any sleep."
I've got to ask you about the future. Are there plans?
What I'm doing, I'm auditioning. Jake's only been gone about a week or so, so you know, I'm still in the early stages of getting tapes for a new guitar player. As soon as I get the guitar player, I'm rehearsing and writing and breaking the guy in, and hopefully I'll have an album to be released sometime in the middle of next year. If I can try and get it out any sooner, I will, because I really miss you guys out there, you know. I really miss the road. I'm one of these guys, when I'm touring, I think, I wish I was on home. When I get home, I think, oh, I wish I was on tour, you know. You know, never satisfied it.
Right.
But I'm looking forward to getting this new thing. It's quite exciting, actually. I'm looking forward to seeing what I get. And there is one out there waiting for me. I know he's there somewhere. Mean.
You said, and you said you learned that from Bowie.
Well, the kind of thing. I mean, as I told you, I was very unhappy for several years with Black Sabbath, because it was not that I didn't like the guy. It's just that I wanted, my musical preferences were going different ways, and I was a band member, and when I left, I became a band leader, and I could have more of a hold on the reins. Not saying everything that I do is right, because, you know, none of us are always right, you know, but I learned from that down. As soon as it starts to feel uncomfortable within the camp, you've got to change, you know. Because, you know, as I said before to you, if you're stuck in one hole, you'll rot there, you know. You'll never do anything, you know. I can't do that because I'm frightened. Fear is the biggest, worst disease of the lot, you know.
Fear of failure.
Fear of, I was the worst at that. Oh, I'm going to fail. I'm never going to find a guitar, but I'm never going to, my record's not going to be a hit and whatever. If it's not a hit, you carry on, just carry on moving, keep mobile. It's hard to shoot a moving target, you know.
Well, listen, the time is always too short, and it's always too far.
Hey, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Brad Beach. It's one of my favourite interviewers, folks, and he's a real good DJ, he's a real good friend of mine, so stick it out with him. He's a good guy.
But his hair and his beard don't match.
No, that's right.
Well, folks, on behalf of everybody listening to Q102, thanks for taking the time out.
It's my pleasure, man. Anytime.
You're the best. And that goes double. Anytime grab a phone, or you're in the area, or even if you're just making plane connections at DFW, give us a call, because as you've been answering phone calls here, and people love you, bud.
Thank you very much, and out there, just stick by me. I'll come out with something hotter than hell.
Please give our best to your lovely wife, Sharon, and the kids.
Yeah, we'll do.
The kids.
Okay, yeah.
Tell them, let Dad play the stereo.
All right.
Ozzy Osbourne on Q102.